Hi everyone, it's Courtney coming from cold and kind of snowy Chicago. I really enjoyed this unit, all the case studies that we read about from the community-driven projects in Queensland, Australia, to all the Travelers Philanthropy. I really connected with all of those case studies. And I loved that they had a critical eye on volunteerism because I've read so much lately about the ill effects of volunteerism. The first case study that really jumped out to me was in the first reading that we did. It was about EcoOcean. I love this project probably because I'm a photography, and anything that utilizes photography really sticks out to me. I liked how it connected tourists through an activity that they're already doing, which is taking photos, to conservation efforts. And I think making that direct connection where tourists get to actively participate in that conservation is genius. And of course they had like a NASA created program to help them track whale sharks around the world, but it was that simple act of taking tourist photos, which they're going to do regardless, and using it for conservation. And I just thought, this day and age with digital photography and with social media platforms such as Instagram and even Twitter and Facebook and all of that, just how something, by utilizing tourist photographs in some way to help serve the purpose of conservation or perhaps some kind of other sustainable tourism activity, could really be put to use to do some good. I mean, as a photographer, as this creative person who loves writing and photographing and sharing, I hope to educate tourists about sustainable tourism one day. And I think these kind of innovative projects would be great to get tourists actively participating in these efforts. And I think when tourists are actively participating and they feel like they're doing something positive, they're more likely to seek out those kinds of experiences later when they travel, and they're also more likely to tell their friends and their family, and so perhaps it'll encourage and inspire their behavior as well. And the second case study that really stuck out to me was Auntie Aggie in Ghana at the Brenu Beach Resort. And I loved her story because she was so resilient. And she started with 2 cooking stones, a cooking pot, and some family beachfront property. She really didn't have much, and she was able to start this beach resort. And it started just as like a little chop shop restaurant on the beach. And through word of mouth, she grew it and grew it. And she went through a lot. She had a lot of opposition from the village chief and whatnot. And she innovated because she had to. And it also got me thinking when I was reading the Travelers Philanthropy, how Auntie Aggie could have benefited from one of the organizations doing Travelers Philanthropy. And I just thought, someday if I ever have a sustainable tourism business, I would love to extend into Travelers Philanthropy a little bit and maybe start a grant program for women who want to start sustainable tourism businesses in the developing world. And it could be something like a grant is given in installments, so you could see exactly where the money's going, and they'd have to report back and apply for the grant and whatnot. And I just thought it would be a really interesting way, because Auntie Aggie was going to succeed no matter what, I think, because she just seemed like that kind of resilient character. But I think it would have been a lot easier and had come a lot sooner without as much hardship if some grant money would have been there in the process. Perhaps it could have been like the Monteverde situation where case study where they invested in an entire community. It would be really interesting to see how grant money or maybe even microloans or something like that could help an entire community, or at least help a woman who's starting her own business. And I actually have one more. I know we were supposed to do 2, but I have one more that stuck out to me, which was the New York Restoration Project, which was in the Travelers Philanthropy Handbook. And this connected with me because I live in Chicago, and throughout this 2 years in the Sustainable Tourism Program, I've often thought about how sustainable tourism could be used to invest in the southern and western neighborhoods of the city, which are the neighborhoods that you read about on the news for their gang violence and their underserved schools. And a lot of the community leaders in those neighborhoods often say that we need investment. And I think something like the New York Restoration Project could be put to use in Chicago, where like a restaurant from a community garden could bring tourists in and their economic dollars, and how that could start investing in those neighborhoods. I think it could be really beneficial. And I am out of time. Have a great rest of the semester. Thank you, everyone.